Anybody got any questions? Great to see everybody. Thanks for coming out. Beautiful day. Back in the stadium.
TJ, we talked a lot about the in-game communication. What about the tablets? What type of impact do you think that'll have on?
Well, we got a chance to use the tablets in the bowl game, which I thought was a huge. You can't say an advantage because everybody gets to use them, so there's not one person gets to use something that somebody else doesn't use. But I do love it. I loved it in National Football League with the pictures. I do love the sideline video and what we're able to use on there, just to be able to educate, show the players what they're getting. I think it's a huge advancement in college football when you're talking technology and using it. And, we're moving more and more towards like what the NFL has and why the NFL has it. I just think I think it's really important. I think it's very functional. And, we've been able to use them, which has been a benefit for us.
If you're going to get something from the return game this year, what has to change?
I think we've gotten some good things from the return game in the past. You look at a lot of things that, I think Hugh Redding set up a lot of either big scores or go-ahead scores or put us in really good field position. I think he's been really smart with the football. But I do think our 11 have to play the whole play. There's times there's 10 out of 11 or 9 of 11. We didn't make a very good decision. We didn't use our technique. We didn't box out block when we're supposed to box out block. We didn't punch the far number when we're supposed to punch the far number. And then I think, as we continue to go, as teams present themselves in the punt block situation, if we can get some block punts like we did a few years ago. I know we opened the year with one against Michigan, and we just got to get better at that. Again, our players allow us to do what we need to do, and I like the depth of our punt return team or punt block team. I like how many players we have, and they're very skilled at being able to do both. So hopefully we have a lot more creativity and we have a lot more options in the scheme game to be able to do better than we have.
We saw a lot of Drake Lindsey today.
Yeah.
Was that planned to have Max not practice quite as much?
Yeah, there's a few guys. There's about 9 or 10 guys. Some were held up by the training staff just based on numbers. We analyze numbers very heavily here. I think our dietitians, nutritionists, trainers, doctors do a really good job, and we have so many different monitoring systems on our players in practice. And so our trainers pulled some guys back today. They'll be back Thursday. That's the great thing about having a double walkthrough tomorrow. You kind of benefit from that. But also there might be 1 or 2 guys nicked up that we kept out. And then also just to be able to get some other guys some reps. I think that's critical to have. I didn't tell them what was going to happen. Just kind of did it and let Drake take a lot with the ones, pulled some other guys out, see how the other guys would respond. Week 2 is about taking the floor and raising the floor. I've always believed that in training camp. There's a lot of guys have played a ton of college football here. They performed in college football. I know what they can do. Not like they're not going to practice. They practice the entire time except for today and a small piece of it. But now the people are fighting for jobs in week 2. I need to be able to answer questions by the end of week 2 and the middle of week 3 on the depth chart and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and what the answers are if and when something happens to somebody. And those are the questions we're answering here in week 2. And I think we had a great day to be able to evaluate it. We got a ton of reps, about 115 plays. And when you look at that, close to 80 plays are with whether you want to call them 2s, 1As, some 3s, some really young players. So some guys opened their eyes today, and we'll go back and evaluate the film. Some rose to the occasion, some didn't, but guys are fighting for spots, and they're competitive. That's what I like to see.
TJ, I know you build this roster. Do you feel good about where you're at along both lines, offense,
I think we're really talented. I think we got to continue to create our depth. I like our depth of the defensive line of how different each player is and the ability to move each player around at different positions. We haven't necessarily had that before, where our nose guard can technically play 5 technique in some downs and distances, as well as our 5 technique coming down to 3 technique and do the same thing. We can take some linebackers and put them on as edge rushers. We can take some safeties and put them down in the box as a linebacker in some packages. We just have a lot of versatility on defense that I don't know if we've had in the past with as much versatility. On the offensive line, I feel like we've got some guys that have played a ton of football here. And then we've got a really, really good players who just haven't had an opportunity to play in a Big Ten game yet. But hopefully they get the opportunity this year.
Is that intentional in recruiting to get kind of those multi-purpose defensive linemen, or is that just kind of how it's
No, it is. When you kind of look at what we're able to get in recruiting and what we're able to get in the transfer portal and the type of player we were really focusing on, versatility's at the top of the list. And I'm not talking about a corner playing 3 technique. I'm talking about just being able to move guys with length, size, speed, athleticism, especially with what we've always done with our movements and what we've been able to do. I mean, we're not a big 3-4 team where you got this huge nose who's 2-gap and everything. You know, we're still what we do and how we do it on defense. But if we can get some long, athletic, rangy guys that are really strong, and then we can move people around, I think that's hard for an offense to game plan. Move protection just to one player, and really hard to know where we're coming from. And if you can get a lot of players that can rush the passer on third down, depending if they're linebackers or D linemen, hopefully that bodes well for success.
Do one or two more? I know you're a big note taker. What's in the notes about biggest areas for improvement that you want to see out of this team?
It goes back to when we talked about the beginning of training camp's consistency. It's not about if they can make the play, it's can they make the play all the time. You know, we're past the days of like, oh, he did it once, like we got to play him. Guys have to be able to show it on a day in, day out basis of the consistency, the mental fortitude, the emotional fortitude, being able to keep your body healthy, commitment to the process, commitment to the film room, know what you're doing. Because again, we're 3 weeks from game day. I mean, that's going to be here before we know it. So if you're making alignment, assignment, motion problems, and you're not, that's going to be hard to be able to make all that ground up in a week and have trust. You got to do that. That's what all the summer meetings are for. That's what all the things we did in the summer. When you get in here, you should be at least be able to line up, have motion shifts. And if we're behind on that, you know, we've either got to make some adjustments really quickly or you got to move on.
Coach, can you have a guy update on Darius Green and Daniel Jackson, their health?
Yeah, Darius should be back pretty soon. He had an off-the-field issue in the summer that the trainers are keeping him out for. And then who else?
Daniel Jackson.
Oh, yeah, he'll be back on Thursday. He's one that trainers just held out for the day. And, you know, I love our trainers for that. You know, I mean, they bring up suggestions at times in terms of numbers. Then they also say, hey, this guy can't practice. Same with our nutritionists, our sports science people, and we're tracking all of that. So, but he'll be back. All the guys you saw out today should be back by Thursday or Friday.
When you have guys that you mentioned that are kind of versatile, what's a challenge as a coach? You just have to know just how much to give them. Like, you do all this stuff, let's feed it all to him, or let's make him good at one thing first and then move down there.
Well, I think that's where you start out. You know, when you're working in Indy, you know, in the summertime, you know, even in the spring, you have an idea. You don't know what type of team you're going to be yet in the spring because a lot of guys are still going to join. But that's where I think the first 5 days of this camp, 6 days of this camp have been on hyperspeed. You know, throw a ton at them. Who can handle it? Who can function? Who can perform under the pressure of the situation? That's what it's all about. I mean, it's not about here on, you know, Tuesday at 1:25 p.m. It's about who can do it. And that's why we're over when the lights are on. That's why we're always here in the stadium as much as we can be over here. Having our fans in the stadium was critical the other day. You know, having all of you here is really important. I think that adds another layer of pressure as they're getting evaluated as you ask questions. And you're putting perceptions in your own mind about players as you watch them. So I think that's really important for them. We educate them on that. And as they spend time with you too, educate them through the media process and getting them to be able to talk to the media and have that added pressure to them.
Oh, it was great. I have a blast doing that with the walkie. You kind of get the other side of it now where you got to figure out how close to talk to the walkie, and then Drake's yelling because he can't hear the play and I'm screaming. But it's good seeing that dynamic now, and then I'm getting mad at Coach Harbaugh because I can't hear the play. I can kind of understand where that's coming from now.
Any surprises out of training camp so far?
No, I think our team's developing, you know, as we expected it to. I think we're growing every single day, both offensively and defensively, and as a team collectively. You know, for us, it's a 1-0 mentality. We want to get better every single day, and I think we're doing a really good job doing that.
Outside of Daniel, who have you developed chemistry with through camp so far?
Yeah, all the guys are playing their butts off right now. You know, people have stood out right now are Elijah Spencer, Lecky Brockington, you know, Ken Nuke. These are guys that have been grinding, you know, since spring and summer, and you know, showing on the field during camp. That's a testament to them, but also for that receiver room, the leaders in that room, Q Redding, Daniel as well for holding that standard and making sure that, you know, everyone's keeping up with the pace.
Your field vision and processing are a couple of things that coaches have brought up a lot over the years. What have you done to expand and grow in that area?
Yeah, I think it's different when you get to a different school and you kind of see the same schools over 3 or 4 years in the CAA where I played the same teams, and now I'm coming to Minnesota where we're playing, you know, new defenses, new coordinators. And I love that challenge. I think football is a chess game. It's a big chess match, and it's a chess match against, you know, defense, but also coordinator versus coordinator. And that's the fun part for me is, you know, I actually play a lot of chess to kind of keep my brain thinking, and it's kind of a way for me to keep my mental efficiency going. And I think it translates really well to football. So that way you can, you know, make really quick and decisive decisions. And also it's just kind of getting used to it. You know, every single defense has their, you know, different specifics that they do that can define a defense. And Ours specifically, we've gotten used to it this fall camp over the past 8 or 9 days, and I'm excited to kind of build upon that and face new people throughout the year.
Max, as you're in here, you have moments of in 3 weeks it's for real, or is there still kind of a lot to happen between now and then?
Yeah, I think there's both sides of the story. I think there's, I don't know, like 26 days or something to the first game, and we're doing a good job not really thinking that far forward. We know that we have, that many more days to really grow into our true state as a team, as an offense and a defense, which I really am proud of my guys for doing that, of really stacking days and not trying to focus too far in the future. But it is becoming a reality. It's like, we had, for a lot of us, it's our last season playing football, and that's kind of something you think about too. It's like, this is my last one, this is my last go around, as well as the older guys in the team. So that's becoming a reality. But that allows you not to take every day for granted, because we're out here to play football. It's what we love to do, and it's the last growing in college.
Both PJ and Greg the other night talked about the importance of 70% completion.
Mm-hmm.
How fixated, if at all, are you on that number, and how do you go about trying to get there?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to the part about focusing on the end goal. Because if you're focused on, I got to get 70% every single play, you're not really going to get 70%. You're focused too much on being perfect. And in the quarterback world, if you're 70% or higher, you're elite. You're in the top whatever number of the country. And for us, that's our goal. We want to be the best and efficient as possible. But again, if you're focusing too much on the end goal, you're going to lose out on every single rep. And so for us as an offense, especially the quarterback position, we want to focus on going 1-0 every single rep and trying to win that rep every single time.
Max, when you joined the team, did you know you were going to have a left tackle at the level of Ariante, and what's impressed you about him? What have we learned about him since you've been here?
It was cool kind of looking up on that when I kind of researched Minnesota. This whole O-line's a very, very experienced and really talented and skillful people on this O-line, and having a blindside tackle who's really, really talented and really helps quarterbacks stay comfortable on that left side. But I'm proud of the whole O-line being, the communication has exceeded my expectations and our expectations. That's why they're rolling right now. They're off the charts with their communication, and it starts from Greg the center and then works out to the tackles, through the guard to the tackle, and that's been a huge highlight of all the offensive line and while we're running and throwing the ball so well.
What do you see to Drake? It looks like he's kind of having some struggles today.
Yeah, it's going to happen. That's my number one thing. It's the first thing I said to him is, look, it's your first time taking the ones reps and really getting thrown into the fire. And every quarterback has to have that, whether that's in practice or even in a game too. People who get to play as a freshman, when they're younger in actual games, you're going to feel that heat. And we had talked after the field. He's like, dang, like it's fast. It's really fast in the field. And like, yeah, even I'm experiencing that too. I'm still building up to that and really feeling that every single day. And it's a testament to the whole group as a preparation. I think we're doing a really good job together, is preparing together, and as a unit, I got to do a better job of making sure that he's prepared more for the next practice, and I'm going to do the best of my ability to do that. And I have fun doing that with the group, and Coach Harbaugh and Keegan as well have fun doing that. But I told him not to sweat it. It's going to happen. It's football.
Do you remember back when you were young, that first time that
I do.
you struggled,
yeah.
and the coaches were all over you?
Oh yeah, I do. That's happened here too, in a good way though, because we're always trying to grow. But as a freshman, I don't know what I'm looking at in the field. I'm just like, throw to the open guy, but sometimes you have no idea where the open guy is. So it's definitely a growing challenge for him, and I'm excited to see where he goes with it.
Going back to something you said earlier, how often do you play chess, and what's your favorite aspect of the game?
So I play chess. I've been playing a lot during fall camp. It's a good way to kind of get off of social media and try to really focus on what's at hand. I probably play like 10 to 15 games a day, which is just online though. When I have like 5 minutes, I'll play like bullet chess and just try to tough it out for 5 minutes. I don't know. The thing that I like the best about it is, number one, like I feel like I'm actually competing against somebody, because I am. It's online and you're competing against someone, so you can kind of like, gotcha, and like really kind of get the feel of actually competing against someone. And then also just knowing that it's really beneficial for my head. It kind of takes me out of the moment for a second. Like if I'm like footballed out for a second, all right, let's just play a game of chess and then reset. So I use it for both.
Any more for Max?
Thank you guys. Yeah.